Well, after that very, very spirited session that we had with Mrs. Rekha Gupta, the Delhi Chief Minister, we're very, very delighted to welcome on stage two distinguished IAS officers, women bureaucrats, Dr. Anju Sharma, Additional Chief Secretary, Agriculture, Farmers Welfare and Cooperation for Gujarat, and of course, Mugdha Sinha, Managing Director, ITDC. Let's start with you, Mugdha. And if you take a look at your personal journey, let's start with some personal facts. When you first entered the IAS, did you feel that you have to prove yourself more than the male peers? And how did you navigate that?
So I always keep telling people that I entered JNU in a skirt and moved out of JNU in a sari. So that's how my journey from college to the famed portals of UPSC happened. You know, I'll just give you one anecdote of my time with my first mentor as a probationer. I was a pretty keen type probationer, and one day in his office, I asked him, sir, what are the good qualities of a civil servant? Mm-hmm. And he was a Haryanvi. In chaste colloquial Haryanvi, he said, "Dekh chori." For a guy, it's basically to be dynamic, outgoing, resourceful. I'd never asked a gendered question. Civil servant is what I'd asked. And then I could not refrain myself, so I asked him, and what about a lady civil servant? That distinction never had entered my head, but just to ask him. So he said, hardworking, obedient, and sincere. So, I was from JNU. That was provocation enough for me to ask another question, and I did. And I asked him, sir, I've been given to understand that I am hardworking, sincere, and obedient, and that's why I've managed to be here. But I was also given to understand throughout my school and college journey that I have some iota of outgoingness, resourcefulness, and dynamism in me. So do you think that the twain cannot meet in a civil servant? So then he said, Dekh chori, do you want to be a homemaker or a homebreaker?
Wow.
And he was one of the best officers that I could have as a mentee. He was fabulous, except because this is how it is in the society. But many years down the line, when I was doing my second district in Hanumangarh, he became my secretary in charge. And I invited him home for dinner and asked him, sir, do you recall a conversation I had with you as a probationer? Because I really looked up to him. He always had my back. So then, of course, he didn't recall because it was something that had impacted me. And then he said, Dekh chori, tere pe kuch lagu nahi hota. So my takeaway from my life in the service has always been, I chose this service because I felt comfortable in my skin doing this job. And this job has nothing to do with your physique, but to do with your cranial matter inside of you. It is how you wield your pen. Of course, as a woman, you can bring more compassion, more empathy, but that is also not an attribute of any particular gender. Men can also be at times very compassionate and women equally cruel and callous. But what I have learned is that if you remain authentic in who you are as a person, the world will adjust, or the world will learn to adjust, because I think life is equally teaching both of us from the interaction, from the friction that happens with me interacting with the world and the world interacting with me. And of course, that's a very humbling experience. And this is the crevice, the Venn diagram of intersections of two beings, two people. I think that is very, very important. And I have learned, and the world has kind of validated the fact that if you continue to be who you are, and of course, that doesn't mean that you don't learn from people, don't soften your eccentricities. All that happens. But yes, I faced a lot of gender issues. But sometimes I think it's more about who you are as a person and how people perceive you. And I think that is a continuous learning exercise. Like they say for marriage, you know, you can get married, but marriage is always work in progress. So being able to work with people is always work in progress. You learn from some, you teach some, and you're always becoming who you are. So I think that is the journey that I've had.
And now let's turn to you, Dr. Anju Sharma. And of course, I'd asked her the question about her experiences. But if you take a look at, you've probably been through a journey that's maybe similar, maybe different. Did you at any time face discrimination when you started your career, and what was your response to some of these issues?
So thank you very much. And of course, after such an excellent session by Delhi's Honorable Chief Minister, and it was very motivating and encouraging. In fact, I was myself I was flowing with the current and whatever she was saying. Yes, so you see, for a woman, challenges start from the day she's born, or rather before she is born.
That's true.
So challenges are umpteen. But if we talk with relation to the service as first, specifically. So from the day one, we start facing challenges, and I see two very common type of things that we face. And there are different kind of people. So two major issues I have seen. One is infantilization. They kind of treat you as a kid, as an infant, as somebody who has to be handheld, you know, always. Pakad karke chalana. So I don't know, whatever have been experiences of Mugdha, but that's what I feel. They treat you, they always think that she has to be handheld. And the second also very important thing that I have seen is that they sometimes objectify you. And of course, it happens. It does happen. But I will talk more on the more important part, and which emerges from a very, very much patriarchal mindset of the society. And we all come from a very patriarchal mindset, very patriarchal society. This society has ingrained some values in us as a woman and as a man. And this is a part of our bringing up. We can't undo it in a day. Just because we have entered the service, we can't undo it. And this gets reflected in males, and this gets reflected in females also. So what happens is that when both of us, we bring that patriarchal mindset on the table, and with, say, at that time when I entered the service, it was like, what, 6 to 8%? Luckily, now it has reached up to 34%. In 2023, I'm told it was 34%.
Women who are in IS
yes.
as compared.
So with this kind of a distribution, when you all come on the table, so that's bound to happen. That, say, for these 94% or 95% or 92%, just imagine a situation that they're working in the night, say at around 12 o'clock. Now, this situation happens in corporate, this situation happens in our public life situations also, and in bureaucracy also. Now, they're stuck up with something. And you are either subordinate or peer or superior also. Superior, a little bit less, because you will certainly not want to talk to your superior at such a time. But if they are peer or if they are your subordinate, if it's a male to male or a female to female, there's no discomfort. Okay, you can call up at 2 o'clock, bhai ye bata do na ki kya hai isme aur apne ko kya karna chahiye. You can discuss it for half an hour, 1 hour, whatever. But the fact is that at the moment, say I was going through the figures, with only 13% of women, because now women are increasing, but earlier they were not. So overall, I've been told that around 13% women in the entire civil service cadre, if you see the bureaucracy. So that 83 through 17. Now, if on the other side is at 17, and on this side is 83, or the vice versa, then would a male call a female at 2 o'clock in the night to ask, कि भाई इसमें क्या करना है and discuss for 1 hour. And if he or she does so, how will that be perceived by both of them and by their families and by the society? If suppose it gets in the media, then what's going to be? So these are the very fine nuances that happen, that kind of discomfort that comes, you know. And it's a very natural kind of thing. One is that you're coming from a patriarchal mindset. Other thing is on the top of it, you have that difference.
Right.
And you have the entire world watching you. It's not a very narrow setup. It's a highly kind of, you're surrounded by a glass. You know, everything is visible outside. So with these kind of things, it happens that your male counterparts are not very comfortable with you.
Excellent
And
point.
in that case, what happens is either they try to patronize you, protect you. So I'll give you a simple example like she said. So very early, when I was a probationer, my collector, I wanted to go and witness a riotous situation. That time, it was 91, so I'm 91 batch, so it was 92. So I wanted to go with my male SDM and wanted to witness the riots. कैसे manage होता है सर, कैसे होता है? मैंने बोला सर मुझे जाना है. अरे नहीं, तुम्हें पता है लड़कियों के कपड़े फाड़ देते हैं. अब एक वो भी आते हैं. This is a kind of attitude. They try to kind of becoming very, you call it protective, or they try to build in that fear. But then when I was posted as regular SDM, then of course the boss got changed. There was a different boss. And similar situation was there. There was a crowd of around 1 lakh farmers. There was a farmer agitation. There was a crowd of around 1 lakh farmers in my prant, the SDM prant. And they were agitating and they wanted the district administration to come and talk to them. And I was SDM, my collector didn't want to go himself because obviously there should be a first line and then a second line. So we decided, so I said, sir, I will go. He said, no, he told the RDC that send the other prant with her, and he was a male. Of course, I didn't like it, you know, you'll always have to prove yourself, and you feel, this is my territory, this is my area, so why should someone else come with me, tag along with me, or even handle the situation? How am I going to learn? So I didn't like it. I said, sir, please give me a chance. Let me handle it. And I can assure you that nothing will happen. And we'll turn out to be winners. And he trusted me. He believed in me. He trusted me.
Wow.
I went all alone. We were only 3 people. They said nobody else will come. Only 3 people will come. In that entire male crowd of around 1 lakh farmers, all in a mood of agitation. Very peacefully, calmly, we went, we talked to them, we sorted out their situation, and they dispersed very peacefully. So what happened was that, what I'm trying to say is that people have to trust you. They have to trust you, and when they trust you, that trust got enforced. And when that trust got enforced, when the collector got transferred, the charge of collector was given to me. And then the other male counterpart, he complained. Why has she been given the charge? Why have I not been given the charge? So he had to be given the charge because he's a male. So that question I'm leaving to you.
No, excellent.
So that's
Let's
way.
give. You're taking off from that particular episode that's there, and the IS has always been regarded as a meritocratic institution. But does that merit operate same for men and women? Do you get a feeling that sometimes women officers are pigeonholed into social welfare, education, women and child protection, not given the kind of assignments that men would be getting? Is that a sense you get as you progressed in your career?
So I think I've always believed in fighting the one last fight. And sometimes, the system has to bend to who you are or who you become ultimately.
Right.
Initially, yes, of course, people look at you and people try the same patriarchal stunts at you, but then you have to somewhere draw a line, draw a boundary and say, this will not work with me. I also remember a time when when I went to my cadre, I was told that one posting as a district collector you will get, because that is a perfunctory function to train you, and you will be given one district. And usually, somehow...
This is Rajasthan.
This is Rajasthan, and this is I'm talking of the early 2000. We are the millennial batch, 99 batch. So this is in 2000. And I also saw women before me. We had in Rajasthan a lot of women. We had about 13, 14 women I could look up to. But many of the women in the cadre at that point in time were single for some reason when I entered. Only a handful of them, 3 or 4 of them were married. And I got a sense from their dressing up, from their everything, that kind of they wanted to be low profile, they wanted to be not very properly dressed up. But I said, no, I cannot be in that mold. I have to be who I am. I was a certain type in college. I mean, I just cannot be another type because I'm a human being. I always say, while livelihood might have many more letters in it, life is bigger than livelihood. And you are always prepping for life. I had a life before 24 when I got into the service, and I will have a life when I superannuate after 60. And livelihood is just a mimicking of who you are grooming to be in life. So yes, there have been cases. I was given a district. Their districts are also typecast. I don't know how it is in Gujarat. But districts are also typecast. So I was in the CM's office. I was a little late to start my district. And I was given a district which many women had done before, because it's supposed to be a women's district. And then suddenly I ended up doing one district after another till after my 4th district, when the government was giving me another district, I said, no, I've had enough of the district. I'd like to go for a central deputation. So kind of you break the mold by, there is one thing Anju ji said about trust, people trusting you. But you also have to raise your mettle like she also did, so that the other person can trust you. I think in the service, what matters is when you have to break patriarchy, when you have to break, you don't have to play to the gallery, you have to play to who you are. Because this life is your journey, the livelihood is supposed to make you who you are, it's a challenge towards your own journey, and I think that is very important. I mean, every time if you pander to the fact that, okay, let us be, you have to challenge. There was a time when, I am a happy-go-lucky person. I was born with a smile on my face. And I have had to tell bosses that, sir, I do very serious work. For serious work, please read my note sheet. I'm not going to have a very serious laden expression on my face. That's not how you face. There have been politicians who've told me ki, madam, aap to haste haste kaat dete hain hame. Hai na? So, this is my quality. I have to retain my feminine quality, because my service, my job, my career has nothing to do with how I dress, how I look. Of course, civility, I know the conduct rules of my service. I remain within that. But how I dress, how I smile, that has nothing to do with how I perform. I think the women's characteristics do not define her character at all. We bring integrity, the conduct, those things are very, very important. In fact, Anju ji's had some very nice experiences. I had very different experiences. I was an SDM in Ajmer with about 4 or 5 tehsils, as they call it. And every time there was a difficult situation, the ADM, who was a man, would, when you had to break buildings, remove encroachment, he would be found on leave. And there was I was SDM, he was ADM, one rung senior to me. And my boss would say, Mugdha ko bhej dete hain, ye tod ke aa jayegi. And I was just my first job in the service. So somewhere, you're right when you ask the first question. You have to work hard. But we are not working hard to prove anything to anybody. I like working hard. I like multitasking. I like challenges. So I am doing it for myself. Because I always say, कि जब किसी के हाथ में आप मेहंदी लगाते हो, when in the typical interview question, no, Anju ji, you would also have prepped for it. कि why are you here in the service? We are here to serve the nation, right? So, but जब आप in the service of nation होते हो और आप किसी के हाथ में मेहंदी लगा रहे हो, you're trying to do something, उसका थोड़ा अंश आपके हाथ में भी रहता है. So now this service, in putting myself, I would say, in service of the job that I do for the civil service, because before 24 and after 60, I'll also be a part of the civil society. I think it is my duty to raise the bar, because we all, as Newton said, stand on the shoulders of giants before us. I'm also standing on the shoulders of giants who paved, women giants who paved the way for so many of us to move from there to here. So I think I would want to continue to do the work by just being who I am.
Excellent.
And I think this will also teach the other half, or maybe all of us, to learn to recognize strong women. The issue is sometimes not about gender so much. It is about how the other person is comfortable in their own skins. I've oftentimes not faced issues from men bosses because their wives, who are also equally working professionals, have upped their ante in recognizing and being comfortable with them. So I have been on the good receiving side where male bosses, male colleagues are very accepting of the person I am, strong-minded, with an opinion of my own. Sometimes it's women who find it difficult to navigate with a woman who has a mind of her own.
Right.
And I think that is why I say, because I see a lot of women in the gathering, that, you know, the world is cruel. The cruelty of the world should teach you to be kind and compassionate, and to always, always ensure that there is a sisterhood of women. Because if we don't hold our hands, then we can keep crying about patriarchy and nothing will happen. Because, you know, this typical Saas Bahu dramas also play out in the office. It's not just male. We have to teach. We have to teach each other. We have to be accommodating to each other. It's not just religions who have to be accommodating. We also have genders, communities, people have to be very, very accommodating to each other, understanding, standing in other people's shoes. वो सबके जूते या चप्पल में एक कांटा चुभता है. It's different for everybody. Men also have it. Men also have it. I see men are in the minority, but men के भी जूते में कभी-कभी वो होता है. So can we just, before we are civil, before we are candid, before we are civil society or civil servant, can we just learn to be compassionate? I think that is one leadership trait that I would like to really say that can change things around you.
Thank you for that excellent answer. And I'm going to take a little different tack with you, Dr. Anju. Let's talk about political bosses. Okay, we've talked about your peers and everybody else. Does that equation shift when you're dealing with a politician? Are you taken seriously, or do you find politicians behaving differently with you as compared to your male peers? And how do you deal with them?
Okay, so my experiences have totally been different. And as SDM also, I started with a very difficult so-called male prant. As DDO also, I've been in very important districts. And as collector, I've handled two very, very difficult districts. And in one of the districts, like she said, it was like always male district. And in one of the districts, I've never seen a lady collector than me, other than me, not even before and not after. So two very difficult districts, and one of them was very highly sensitive from law and order point of view, and the other highly sensitive from political point of view, both. And as you talked of the political bosses, and I would say it's an ecosystem. And I'm telling you, the politically heavy district, in which I functioned, I've worked as DM, even today I have excellent relationships with my political peers at that time.
Was it because of your erstwhile chief minister?
Yes, 25 years. It was
Mr.
2000,
Modi.
year
Yes.
2000.
Right.
An excellent relationship from people, and even today. So I come from a state like where we have seen women DGs, women home secretaries, women chief secretaries, women finance secretaries, everything. So it much depends on the political leadership also. And how much, again, the mindset and how much push they want to give to the gender issues. Right. And how much trust do they have in the ability of the women. Luckily, I am working in a state which has been blessed in this regard. And I got to work on women issues in each and every posting. I pioneered Mugdha for health. I pioneered your Abhiyam, 181 Abhiyam, which became a role model for the entire country. In fact, Mugdha also became role model for the entire country. I participated in sickle cell disease program and even student startup policy. And even now I'm working with the farmers' issues, which are very, very, so-called male-dominating. But so it all, see, I'm lucky because the states are different. Because I come from the state where she's working. So her karma bhumi is my janma bhumi. So I know that because the mindset of the people over there and mindset of the people in Gujarat, they're entirely different. So that percolates to the civil service. And in our state, we have an excellent system. I have had excellent relationships with our political bosses, even existing minister, previous ministers. You have to be seen as fair. You have to be seen as honest. And you have to be seen as impartial. And you have to be seen as positive. If these four things are seen, and the last one is very important. If you have destructive tendencies, if you have negative tendencies, then people are not going to like you. See, it's an ecosystem. You are not alone in that ecosystem. There are various players in that ecosystem. There are various stakeholders. And we all stakeholders, if we kind of work at cross purposes, we are not going to lead to development. We are not going to contribute to development. So if we have to become participants in the entire process of development, we have to work together as a team. Right. And we have to understand each other's predicament. We have to understand each other's issues. And that's what we do. We work together. If they have any problem, we try to find a solution for them. And it's not a case with women officers alone. It's a case with male officers also. Because in certain states, I see male officers and the political bosses always fighting. So that way, in our state, it's been very positive. They see you as an officer. And if you have the entire track record in front of you and behind you, then there is no issue at all. You can take toughest of the decisions and bail through it, and you can kind of take it through. And I'll tell you, recently we took a very, very difficult decision, and it was like for the MSP procurement, and we found that a large number of farmers, they had registered without having the crop in their field. And now one thing is that you get very aggressive, no, I will not allow this, I will not allow this to happen. They sat with my minister, and I said, sir, this is the problem. And I want to do this because of this, the genuine people are getting affected because we have limited quota. So tell me, what should I do? He said, do what is fair. Do what is right. And we are with you. So we did it. We blocked all those scrupulous farmers. And despite the public hue and cry, we were able to get through with it. So we can work together. We can work together. Yes. But I'll tell you, I'll come to the point, it's slightly difficult. It's slightly difficult because, as she very rightly said, we all get into a tendency of proving ourselves. So from the beginning, we have to prove ourselves. So what happens? That we overperform, that we overachieve, we try to overexert. And what happens because of that? Our competence level goes high. But I think all of you can guess there is a Harvard HBR study also on that. that our relationship outcome, it suffers. And because that suffers, you are seen as a very aggressive person, you are seen as a very pushy person, you are seen as, something that sometimes you're seen as a bully, sometimes she can understand. So, so when it comes to a 360 degree, that affects you. And the situations that you're talking about, where politicians or your even other male counterparts may not be comfortable working with you. Maybe these situations, though they may look very tough outside, okay? So like, of course, in Gujarat, we don't have that problem. We've had home secretaries, chief secretaries, everything. But in other states, so what happens is that because your relational outcome, because you always focus on the results, and because I told in the beginning, there's slight difficulty becoming very, very, frank with you. Frank in a very, very positive term.
Right.
So where you can discuss the issues, threadbare. So that is why, so those I have seen, we have had excellent women officers in police, in administrative services, who have overcome that barrier. And because they've overcome that barrier and they have a very high relational outcome along with competence outcome, they've never had a problem in their postings. So it all varies, and sometimes there is a lot of baggage and there is a lot of ecosystem issues that surround us, but there is a silver lining. And the very fact that our numbers are increasing in the service, that's going to change the scenario in the next 10 to 15 years. Things will be very different, and I'm sure in 10 to 15 years, you will be talking different issues on the same stage.
Well, with that very positive note, we've run out of time, but let's give these two outstanding bureaucrats and personalities, Mugdha Sinha and Dr. Anju Sharma. Very, very warm round of applause. Yes, please have the last word. Please have the last word.
I thought you will ask this question, a very brief, just 2 lines that I will say. One most important thing that all of us as women should do is that we should become accessible. In this society, accessibility sometimes gets translated into availability. Okay, so that's why we fear that accessibility. And we do not become friendly because we may be perceived as friends. We do not become accessible because we may be seen as available. So we have to understand and we have to become accessible. And these are the good qualities. The people trust in us because of our fairness. People trust in us because of our honesty. People trust in us because of our perseverance and endurance. You ask anybody, in terms of perseverance and endurance, yes, a woman has highest quotient. So they value us for that. So we have to build on these qualities, but there are 2, 3 things that we have still to work upon because of the kind of ecosystem that we work in. And that's what I would like to say to the young girls and young corporate leaders.
And Mugdha, you can have 30 seconds to give your wonderful advice on this.
So sometimes I fear that I might have a counterfactual kind of a narrative. But just because women break their 208 bones while delivering their progenies doesn't mean that they have to keep doing it also in their professional lives, because they have the capability to do it, because they have huge pain thresholds and huge thresholds for perseverance and for patience. Doesn't mean that you have to put yourselves through that patience and perseverance. I think you must stand up for yourselves if you find yourselves in difficult positions, even if it's breaking the mold, for the simple reason that if Mr. Manji can single-handedly create a road from a mountain, because today we have an example. I remember my mom used to tell me, ek akela, ekla chalo re. She's brought me up on that. Because she said, don't, the world adjusts to people, so you be who you are. And when this whole Manji episode came and the film came, I've never met Mr. Manji. And I said, yes. I mean, because I used to ask mom, give me an example of a person who's done it. When Manji episode happened, my mom said, look, you now have an example of a person who can do it. And he survived, he's a contemporary. So I think you must, because You know, 20 years of hard work leads to one day of 5 minutes of fame or 5 minutes of success, but you have to strive for that for 20 years. You may never get it, but you have to strive, because in your striving, there is a whole, this 1 lakh people are standing behind of you. Everybody's journey is individual. Find your purpose and let purpose be power. Because Superman का वो dialogue है ना, कि with great power comes great responsibility, है ना? उसका उल्टा है, मैं ये बोलती हूँ. With great responsibility comes great power, है ना? But if you want to be powerful, and powerful is not your materialistic power. Powerful is when you are comfortable in your skin, right? You can wear a tart and roam on the screen and still be very powerful about it. Power comes from your purpose in life, and our life and our livelihood are given to us to find a purpose in life. And if your purpose in life can become the power, I think you will be a good lever, Archimedes lever for the society, because ultimately we all have to come back and be a part of the civil society. So if you can contribute in the making of a good civil society, I'm sure in our old age, at least this is what I think, that we would have created a community where I'll be very, very happy to belong and not have to say that, okay, there is patriarchy, there is XYZ kind of an issue. So I'm working hard towards it. I'm sure that together, what I think Anju Sharma ji also wanted to say is the sea of collaboration. हम लोग सब निमित्त माध्य हैं. So compassion, collaboration. I think if that we can do, civil service and civil society working together in collaboration, I'm sure we will have a different kind of other sea, the country, if I can say that.
Let's give both of them a very, very warm round of applause for this.